Testicles 52. Testicles. That's the Testicles monster. Have you paid attention to any of the Rick and Mortys to see all the testicles that they have in there?
No, I have not.
I'm telling you, dude.
I know that there's a thing about that.
I'm telling you. Nobody's really said anything on the message boards or anything like that, right? So I'm wondering if people are just not saying anything because they noticed it. You know what I'm saying? Like even the new monsters on that with the face huggers, right underneath their chin. Yeah, testicles. There's just a lot of shit on there. It's always there's a testicle monster or some sort of testicle something plant. Okay, 10 seconds for Harambe.
This modern hospital may seem worlds apart from the days of ancient sorcerers. But for psychiatrist Stephen Strange and his beautiful patient, this is where those worlds collide. And the nightmare begins. Nothing Stephen Strange learned in medical school could prepare him for an attack by an evil sorceress from the fourth dimension. A villainess who can only be stopped by an earthly master of the mystic arts.
You're telling me you're a sorcerer? I came here to try to help a patient of mine.
Come and take him into our domain.
Now it's up to Stephen Strange to take the place of the Earth's last sorcerer.
Have I become the sorcerer?
You should learn whose powers to respect.
Come along for a fantastic adventure into the fourth dimension with Doctor Strange.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Dropped Culture Podcast. This is the podcast that picks up all the little things you forgot about or missed, shines them up real nice, and crams them in your ear holes. So
right in there, no loop.
Yeah. I'm Brock, and in the studio, Dan. We're in the studio in Manitou Springs, Colorado.
Yes, live and in person, no Skype.
Woohoo! You can find us everywhere, all of your websites. Today, two pieces of big drop culture really are what we're going to talk about.
Today we're going to talk about one piece of drop culture.
Yeah, this is the first episode because we got two. We're going to break this down into two. So this first episode is really all going to be about Doctor Strange.
Well, yeah, and let's preface that because obviously a lot of people who listen to us also watch the Marvel movies. A lot of people were looking forward to Doctor Strange 2 coming out, and that got delayed because of, the current situation, unprecedented situation that we're in. So, what we thought is let's give you a little Doctor Strange love on something maybe you haven't seen.
Yeah. This one is something that I didn't see until last night.
So I had obviously seen it before last night, but I had not seen it before we started talking about this episode.
I knew it existed.
Yes.
But I didn't really know how much it existed.
So we're talking about specifically Doctor Strange from 1978, which was a TV pilot.
Aired on CBS.
Yes.
It aired on CBS in September of 1978, along the same time that another famous show that was breaking records at the time, Roots, starring O.J. Simpson and LeVar Burton, ran. And this movie kind of was a little overshadowed because if you're a fan of any of the Marvel movies or anything, you knew that the Incredible Hulk was doing really good at the time.
Absolutely.
There was an Amazing Spider-Man TV show. There was a Captain America 2 movies.
Yeah. 2
movie pilots for Captain America starring Reb Brown, friend of the show. And and they were really trying to build the world that they basically built in 2008.
Absolutely. And this is really cool, I thought, because of the people that were behind it. Because you had Kirby, or not Kirby, I'm sorry. You had Stan Lee, of course, and then who the hell am I trying to think of? Steve Ditko, that were involved with this, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. In 1978, that was Stan Lee said in an interview that he really, really enjoyed making this movie compared to any of the other Marvel TV shows and everything, because he was more involved in this one. To paraphrase, I mean, that's not exactly what he said, but
and it was more Stan Lee he was the consultant on the film. Obviously, him and Ditko created Doctor Strange.
Yes.
So
yeah,
throwing that out there.
It was written and directed by a guy named Philip DeGuire, something like that. But he was very, very committed in this movie. He made a very, very good movie compared to what was out there. So it was it was a mixture of more. It was the supernatural part of it, which at that time too, it should have been really good. Because there was a lot of sword and sorcery and fantasy and shit like that out there in the popular culture, but not on TV. From what I can gather on everything.
Sure.
What was really cool about this movie is, every one of the actors, the director, everybody was super committed to this, making it into something eventually that they were hoping it would get a run on TV as a series.
Right. And it really does set that up pretty nicely throughout at the end of the movie.
Yeah. There was a lot of credence offered to this because one of the actors actually was a Academy Award winner, which is nuts. So they were bringing in these guys, and even the director really fought for the main person in this movie and was really kind of let down after it didn't really do anything. It kind of tanked.
Yeah, he had super high hopes for the movie, and then did not do very well.
Well, they were doing different things with this because it was more of a slower pace at the very beginning, and then it just kind of took off like most TV movies. So when you're filling a 2-hour block, that includes 30 minutes of TV or 30 minutes of commercials. And at that time, if you didn't hit the overnights, you were not a success.
Right.
And they were up against Roots. I mean, and Roots on the second viewing of it really did kind of kill it. And they didn't think it was going to do as good as it did the second time through, which it did. And it killed Doctor Strange. Let's start talking about some of the people in it. Peter Houghton, or Houghton, or whatever.
Peter Houghton.
Yeah.
Gentleman that looks like every other doctor from a 70s sitcom.
He basically looks like John Holmes. He had the curly hair. He had the perm, He had
that lovely mustache.
Fucking mustache. But he wasn't ready for that mustache, I don't think.
He didn't earn that shit.
Yeah, he didn't earn it on this one. Then we got Jessica Walter. Jessica Walter, she played the character, of course, Peter Houghton played Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Yeah, Jessica Walter, she played Morgan Le Fay, right?
Correct.
And she, if you pay attention to any other kind of stuff, she was on one of the most popular shows to come out in the last 20 years, which was Arrested Development.
Right.
She was the mom in Arrested Development. When you first see her in this, you don't really recognize her, and you're like,
because it's 1978.
Yeah. She has a lot of cleavage and everything, and she's this weird, sorceress. She's a witch.
Well, and for those of you that pay attention to Doctor Strange, Morgan Le Fay's come through and fought the Avengers. She's and Morgan Le Fay being from the Arthurian Knights.
Correct.
Those legends.
Yeah, and she's kind of been around forever, which is a very heavy hitter as a bad, villain. I think she was like maybe the second or third real villain from the comic books to make it a TV appearance. Compared to any of the other shows and movies that they did. Besides, the Red Skull came in 90 with the movie, and then there's one other before that too. Kingpin. Yes. Yeah, from the Daredevil movies. So it was her, which she was the first real villain. And then you had, because in the Spider-Man TV show, they didn't have like the Green Goblin and shit like that from what I remember. Even the Hulk really didn't have any of the major villains in it.
No, maybe, and again, it escapes me a little bit. I would have to go back and watch some of those TV movies that they made for the Hulk to really remember who was in it.
The TV movie because I did read this in my research that they had Kingpin, which was Sala from Indiana Jones fame.
Yeah,
he was actually Kingpin in the Daredevil. Yeah.
What was that? The Trial
of the Incredible Hulk. It was the last one to come out. This movie didn't really have a lot of replay value in it. You didn't see it like you saw on the other movies, like the Trial of the Incredible Hulk. All of the different ones were always played on TBS and USA.
Oh,
in the
you mean
afternoon.
like as far as people actually replaying them? Yes,
Correct.
I'm with you. No, I'd never seen this on anything.
Yeah.
I will throw a link to this movie into the description. Because it is free to watch on Daily Motion.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Friend of the show, I guess.
Friend of the show.
But I'll definitely put that link in there so you guys can watch all this in its full permed gloriness.
Oh. Woo. Just turn up the brightness on your TV. It really is. All right.
Let's get back to the cast.
Yeah. It was produced for Universal Television, and it was at NBC Universal for CBS. Oh, it did air on September 6th, 1978. So, the Clyde Kusatsu or whatnot.
I don't know what you just said.
Well, the guy that played Wong.
Kusatsu Wong. Yeah.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
He has.
He really, what was really cool about this one, he wasn't the traditional Wong character like in the comics.
Right.
Where he was like completely dressed in regular Chinese clothes and Tibetan, stuff and stereotypical. He was a decent character. Everybody in this show was a decent character. They did flesh out their parts and they really did kind of commit, like I said, to a point where they were really trying to make it believable, really kind of trying to hook you.
Yeah. And as we go through, obviously there is a lot of credence given to the story, like having Stan Lee on there, and you could tell he had a little more input because, well, we'll get into it. But the lore of Doctor Strange, it's different, and we'll get into that too. But I thought they did a lot of credence. Like even Eddie Benton, she was the Clea.
Yeah. Clea is a big major part of his life. Anyway.
So weird in this story, like she is the the damsel in distress for the most part.
Yeah.
And this is obviously not tied to, but it'd be interesting had they gone through with the show because Clea is the daughter of Dormammu.
Yeah.
And was also an apprentice to Stephen Strange, who he also had a relationship with. Mm-hmm. Not just a weird psychiatrist that hits on his patients.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you remember at the time during Marvel Comics run, I mean, Spider-Man, Captain America, they were all established guys, and they were really changing things up in the 70s, having the Kung Fu, the supernatural. Doctor Strange had come out fucking forever ago.
Sure.
Anyway, compared to this, but from what I really remember about Doctor Strange's run in the comics, it wasn't as diverse as everybody else's.
Right.
He wasn't necessarily like a second string character because a lot of people really loved him.
I think he was a B-list.
In a way, yeah. He wasn't like, you never saw him fighting alongside Spider-Man all the time. You know what I mean? Not like Captain America or something.
You knew when he showed up in a comic book, like a different comic book, you're like, okay, there's going to be some magic.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's here, know.
And they were taking a lot of chances in the 70s because the 60s was the golden age for Marvel. They really did kind of create the worlds that we all know now.
And really, and if we're going to kind of dig into Strange a little bit, was the Defenders.
Yeah.
He formed the Defenders, which is different than the Defenders, from Netflix.
Or the Defenders from the World War II Defenders.
Yes. Those are the Invaders.
The Invaders, yeah. I'm you're right. I'm stupid.
Get your names together right.
I'm
Brock,
stupid.
Jeez. No, you're fine.
But, I mean, Doctor Strange really is a complicated character. In the comics really do have a lot more to it compared to the movie because the movie really does stray in a way that the main character is not the same tragic kind of a character that he was in the comics or in the new movie. In fact, too.
Right.
He didn't really seem arrogant in this movie,
So yeah, I mean, they went a different direction with that. He's not a surgeon. He's a psychiatrist.
I
don't know why that change was made. He wasn't, you're right. He wasn't arrogant. I mean, there's kind of the beginning part.
He's a ladies' man.
He's a ladies' man.
He's a John Holmes man.
That's right.
He's I wear the jeans with the extra width in the crotch. John Holmes.
You can tell from my mustache.
You
I'm
can tell,
a ladies' man.
Yeah. The film must have been film stock from a porno studio too, because it's very grainy and very dark.
It is.
The cinematographer, the Enzo Martinelli, supposedly he was a pretty good cinematographer. And again, they really did have some cool shots and in the way that the colors were for it. Because again, what we're watching is a washed out version of something that was on film that was played for TV. So the version that I did watch on Daily Motion, not a sponsor, was they had expanded it to fit a widescreen TV. If you watch it on just a regular device, you see it in the full screen.
Correct.
The correct aspect ratio for television. So I know there were some things cut off, and back then they weren't thinking about the cinematic part of it. They were thinking straight up TV.
Absolutely. It was cool to see some of the stuff they did with green screen back in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually some pretty cool stuff in there. But before we get off the group of players, if you will, I know we stopped at Clyde. Definitely got to talk about John Mills.
Mm-hmm. Haley Mills' father.
Yes.
Actually won an Academy Award for one of his roles in 1960 or some shit like that, or 68, or it was like 10 years before he won this Oscar, which I'm trying to remember the movie that he was in that won it, because he was in a lot of stuff. He started in 1932, so he was your guy that really did kind of open up on things. The movie was in 1970. It was Ryan's Daughter. He won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor, and a whole bunch of other shit. I mean, he was pretty big, and I think the last thing that he really did, Bright Young Things, maybe, in 2003. So, I mean, he's a Sir John Mills, I mean, he was in Bean. Huh. Yeah. Who's That Girl? No shit. Gandhi, Sahara. So in the 80s, he had a little bit of a good run, I guess. But he was pretty prolific in that way. I wouldn't have really kind of known who he was unless it was this. I'm not going to run out and watch Ryan's Daughter. I don't know what the fuck that's about. But yeah, he really did kind of. He was a serious actor in that part, and was really good. For what the character was, because he was the Ancient One technically. Which.
No, he wasn't.
No? What was his character?
So, well, let's get into that. So he was Linmer, and he was the original Sorcerer Supreme. But the Ancient One, we actually get that voice that comes and talks to him.
Oh, that's the Ancient One.
Right. And that guy was Michael Ansara. He did a bunch of stuff back in the day, like Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Nice. He was on Broken Arrow. He was Kane. He was Kane and Buck Rogers. But he also was Commander Kang in 3 episodes of Star Trek. He was in a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
Native American guy, I think, or at least he played Native Americans back in the day. You never know.
They put dark makeup on him.
I know.
Yeah, red makeup.
With a name like Michael George Ansara, he probably was not.
Yeah. They gave him a little red tint.
As you do in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you want to get into the movie, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the movie starts off really cool, and that's I really thought the first scene kind of grabbed me. That's the one highlight for me at that very first part, because it was really cool looking. for the time, it was, I mean, come on, it was like a fucking Muppet, you know, behind some fucking fog and shit. And you couldn't tell where the eyes were and the nose was and shit. Yeah, it was just weird. Like, go get them. Cause Morgan Le Fay's there and she's dressed in her, I guess they're on some weird astral plane.
Yeah. They're in like the demon realm or whatever.
Yeah. They're in a different kind of a place. So you kind of get this ominous overtone about, cause the opening titles really do talk about, you know, all the generations or something like that. They kind of come together and they take out these dudes, but her plan is to kill the main dude, right? John Mills' character.
Yeah. Linmer, yeah. The Sorcerer Supreme.
Right, and then train Strange to be on their side. You know, that's his whole plan. But they got like 3 fucking days. The only thing that I thought about that, which I was like, well, you know, I mean, they're almost omnipotent in a way that they could see the future and shit. Why do they always have only like a certain amount of time to do shit? They're like, oh shit, this came up. I totally fucking didn't put it on my calendar.
Demon rules.
Like, we got to do it. We got 3 days. And if you don't, you're fucked up. It's weird because I thought immediately, I was like, why 3 days? They would have had a lifetime to figure this one out. 100 years ago, they're like, it's coming. So here's the thing. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
But they didn't. But yeah, I mean, that's when you get the introduction into the supernatural on the movie, which I thought, I really did think it was a very good opening sequence to kind of draw you into it. It was different. Maybe it threw a lot of people off because it was like that. I don't know.
I don't know.
It was just cool.
My favorite scene comes up like shortly after this, and that's when we see Stephen Strange for the first time.
Yeah.
And the hot nurse, yeah, she's the smokingest girl in this movie in 1978. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he comes in and she's telling him he's late, and he's like, "Oh, I can see you've been with somebody because there's lipstick on your collar, and I smell perfume. It's not very expensive." And he's like, "Yeah, that's because I gave it to her." And you could tell he's just like a total player, and he's even making allusions like, I tried to get with you, and you know, I wouldn't have been late if you would have been with me. And she's like, you didn't give me the time of day. It wasn't falling in love; it was the making love. I was like, damn,
he was a player though.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, at this point, I don't think I even really recognized that he was a psychiatrist.
No, you don't really get into that until a little bit later.
Well, yeah, and the production part of it too, like the dubbing of the voices, like the old lady was like, he's like, "Have you been drinking?" She's like, "Well, no." He's like, "For real?" "No, okay, I have. I can't sleep." He's like, "Guess what? Stay the night and I'll give you something to sleep."
Yeah, so he's a nice guy. He like cares about people, which you find out.
Yeah.
Which is way different than the Doctor Strange.
In the books and everything.
In the books and in the movie.
Yeah.
Like the newer movie, because it was more based on the actual story, where he's
he was arrogant
and
he could do anything that he wanted to, and he was just badass, right?
Fucks up his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of that happens in this.
Driving his Maserati.
It's because you got this ring, bro.
Yeah. I mean, they do show like the symbol of light. Is that what it's called?
Sure.
Something like that. From his Bleecker Street, new Bleecker Street place, right? That he's going to move into eventually, because we all know 22 Bleecker Street, right?
That's right.
I didn't Sherlock Holmes live on Bleecker Street too?
No, Baker
Street.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's close. So
yeah.
Okay. I always get them mixed up. Like I try to send a letter to Doctor Strange and it ends up in fucking Home Dude's
Sherlock,
place. Yeah.
damn it.
Damn you, Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock sends about, that's not me.
And it's you know who, it's Benedict Cumberbatch both times.
Ooh.
But I mean, this movie when you're watching it is so fucking dark. And I'm not saying dark in tone. I'm just saying the picture's fucking dark. I can't see half the shit. It looks like BJ and the Bear MD, He's like in a weird fucking like hospital, So yeah, you get a little piece of that, but then that's we do get to see Cleve the first time in this one too, kind of coming up because Clea. Clea, yeah. I always call her Clea. I don't know why. But she basically was like, she was a student or something?
Yeah, so she is a psychiatric student.
That's right.
Which is unattached. That has nothing to do with Stephen Strange at this point.
Yeah.
She just happens to be
Yeah, she's just
going
walking.
to school for psychology. When Morgan Le Fay shows up and on her brain, and then she just walks over on a bridge and throws home dude Linmer, the current Sorcerer Supreme,
over the
overpass. Just tosses him over.
He lands on his back, and then the only thing the woman, Morgan, says is she's like, "Is he dead?" And she freaks out. Ah! And then home dude he gets back up, right? And you can kind of hear the chatter. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't stop, mister. Sorry." It's like that dude would have been dead in real life.
Well, yeah, but he's a Sorcerer Supreme, so he heals himself or whatever.
He gets up, he's like, "Did you see the girl?" And then he runs away, and then he heals his back with his hand, but he's still fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when, I mean, we've already seen Wong a little bit. Wong is wearing the 3-piece suit.
Yeah, because we get a little bit of a piece with Wong and Linmer, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Kind of sitting in their den or the study, you know, wherever, which is weird because it looks like this place was an ancient cave of some kind.
Yeah, at some points. Yeah, at some points.
There's no
Apparently
big staircase.
There's a giant cave underneath in New York.
Yeah.
Where there's subways. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a set from Planet of the Apes, the TV show, that they readapted, you know.
Probably possible. It was on Universal Studios where they filmed it.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about the Planet of the Apes, in the original movie, they invented the way to make that rock. They kind of invented the way to do that, so they used it in a lot of stuff.
Gotcha.
So I bet you they use it.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, come on, it's Planet of the Apes. Why wouldn't you steal from them? Especially a TV show. More astronauts land on the same planet again.
Right. So that's when Clea comes to the hospital, and of course
she's all fucked up. She doesn't want to go to sleep.
No, well, because they're coming for her.
Yeah. Which, you know, I mean, there's the other arrogant doctor that's already there, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, "No, don't do this." This is the slow point of the fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's like 47 minutes of slowness.
Well, because they're like, she doesn't want to go to sleep. Strange, of course, he comes in and he's ladies' man.
And he's like, hello,
you're a hot little college student.
Yeah, I'm 42. You're 22. Mm-hmm.
No, that's what people in the 70s look like when they were like 29.
Right. Yeah. They might have been both 30.
Right.
It was
what happened? Okay, I get it. I get the nutrition and things are better now. Not necessarily nutrition, but you know, people take care of themselves in different ways now.
Well, they had Prel back then.
But have you ever seen like somebody that's like 25 from the 60s?
Well,
they look like a whole man.
Wilford.
You see a 25-year-old now, you're like, get off your tight fucking jeans,
right?
And, you know, you're whatever.
The Golden Girls were like 50. Look at him. Look at Wilford Brimley in The Thing. I mean, the dude was like 45. No shit. He was like 45, 48 years old in that, and he looked like he was 62. It's like, God damn. I don't know. But it's so strange. And it really is, not to be punny, you know, it's so strange in Doctor Strange. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because they did look old as shit. Like they had been living life.
Except for the women. The women all look super young.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're probably all the same age.
Well, they had Pert Plus and, you know, Maybelline and stuff like that. So they probably, maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know.
Who knows? All I'm saying, I'm just going to go back to the fact that he should have been banging that nurse.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, he probably could have had a long life, you know, with her without having to get involved in the fucking supernatural
shit.
Well, one thing that we don't get in this movie is a learning period for Doctor Strange.
Well,
because home dude comes to visit him because he knows, because they shared a dream, right? So they're sharing the same dream of where she's running in a weird realm or something, and he's like, "Oh, I just woke up."
Well, and he saw in a dream the guy getting thrown over the side of the overpass.
Yeah.
So when she comes in and she starts talking about it, that kind of creates more of a connection for the two characters as well.
Right. You know, it's a weird connection too. They were watching Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yes.
You know who was Frankenstein in that movie? Glenn Strange.
Oh. Dun, dun, dun. I did not know that.
Somebody was like, "Holy shit, I'm gonna put this in there." But that was it was just a weird deal. Like he like slept at his place and like he rested or something. I don't know.
I don't know. For being late for work all the time, he seemed like he kind of slept there.
Yeah, no. Like, how was he late? I don't know. He had to go home and take a shower. Maybe.
Getting all the chicks.
Yeah, no shit, right? Because we don't ever see where he lives.
No.
Do we?
No.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point here, this is where Wong gives him the card, right?
Well, did Wong give him the card?
The guy.
Yeah, he gives him the card, and it just has his address.
And it has the symbol, which is the same as what's on his ring.
Yeah, that's the connection.
And then as he goes to kind of uncover more, he sees that there's the symbol in the building as well.
The symbol of light at the top, and his attic is what he calls it. Yeah. And then he's also got, because he goes into the place. Well, didn't we see like Morgan try to break into his place, but it was covered by a spell?
Well, she sent a cat.
Yeah.
Telepathic means or magical means to go try it, and it's like,
the cat's like, and runs off, but
Morgan Le Fay can't get in there.
Yeah, because of a spell.
Yes.
So we already know that's kind of,
which makes sense.
Enchanted.
I mean, he is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right. Well, they kind of meet and he talks and
which is different than the Pizza Supreme that I ordered yesterday.
The Bigfoot? I want a Bigfoot. Please, Pizza Hut, bring back the Bigfoot.
I haven't been to a Pizza Hut in so long, dude.
I just want them to release the Bigfoot again so I can order it. And a Crystal Pepsi.
And that might give me a reason to go there. Not the Crystal Pepsi. Fuck that. That was a terrible drink. I'll take a light cola. Thank you so much.
Give me 2 Shastas and a Bigfoot. Friday night.
All the terribleness of cola, as far as dark sodas go anyways, with none of the caffeine. It's kind of like having sex without an orgasm. Decaffeinated coffee, all the same thing.
Well, see, this movie gets even darker and darker. It's like the film deteriorated even more. Because, I mean, he's in this weird cave house. And they start talking about how, like, he was friends with his dad.
Yeah. So basically, he tells them, like, your dad knew from, a young age.
Yeah, we both knew.
Because you had the, what do you say, the clarity of mind? Something to
a good heart or something like that.
Something about people. Yeah.
You had a good heart, like you said, sharp mind, clear mind, whatever. Yeah. And so we
knew you were different.
Technically grooming him
right
to be Doctor Strange.
And his dad left him the ring when he died
in a will.
Yeah.
So that's why he had it on him. But at that same time too, he takes it and he like enchants it in some weird way
he does
too.
Some little magic.
Yeah, he like puts it on a piece of paper and alakazam, And that's where they do the kind of the green screen deal. Mm-hmm. It's just light emitting from their hands,
Well, that's not the only time we're going to get some green
screen. Yeah. Because that's coming up too. Because I mean, Morgan, they finally do the only learning period that Strange has in this whole movie is he gets told one phrase, by Kel, leave me alone, you bitch.
Right.
When he's in the astral plane, because he actually goes to the astral plane, like super simple. He's like, when am I going? You're going now. And it's like a 2001 moment where they're showing him kind of floating, which I thought was really cool because they did kind of add that in the newer movie too. Mm-hmm. Where he's traveling through all of the space-time realm continuum, whatever, and he's just floating. He's like, This one, they kind of did the same thing.
Absolutely.
They just spun him on a couple of racks.
Well, and this is kind of where you get the blue pill, red pill conversation, because he's like, your ignorance has protected you of all this. So you can either remain ignorant or you can learn the truth, and if one way or the other, it's like a all in or all out kind of a deal. Yeah,
you're destined for this anyway. So, and he's not even reluctant. He's like, all right, sign me up. Where do I sign?
Well, and then we saw that, like on his way there, Morgan Le Fay had the opportunity to kill him.
Yeah, but she doesn't.
She hesitates.
Yeah, because she gets a lady boner over him.
Wants that dick.
Yeah, she wants a mustache, right?
She's trying to get a little strange.
Yeah. She wants a mustache ride.
That's right.
So yeah, which is kind of weird because he like senses something too. I don't know, it's unusual. So then he goes to the astral plane, but she also sends a dark rider,
and that's Balzaroth. I miss because I don't think we ever get what the main demon's name is.
We're thinking it's Dormammu,
right? But I don't think they ever say.
Yeah, they really don't. Yeah,
and if that's the case, and if this would have all played out into a show, it would have been interesting to see that was Dormammu.
Yeah,
and that Clea is his daughter.
Yeah,
and you could have really done something cool there.
Yeah. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to make a bargain.
Dormammu.
But that Black Rider's on a horse in an astral plane.
As you would be.
Yeah. Well, he finds
when
her.
You're a Black Rider.
Yeah, he
you're
finds
not the Black
her.
Walker.
Yeah. Are they in a different section of the cave house? Because he ends up fighting him.
Yes.
And then he says the enchantment code or whatnot.
Yeah, the thing that he learns.
And the dude's like, "Arr," and floats away. So then they come back out, which she's still at the hospital. He's there.
She gets sedated while she's there.
Right.
But she doesn't want to go to sleep because she's having those dreams.
Yeah, Thorazine. She's like, "Don't put me to sleep." But I don't think the drugs are working. He's like, "What did you do?"
He gets real mad.
Yeah, he gets mad at the other doctor, BJ and the Bear or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And then so literally he saves her life, and then he's like, "All right, I'm done," and kind of he's on his way out, and he grabs a cat, doesn't he?
Yeah. So he takes off his ring. He's like, "I don't want to, even though all this happened, I'm just going to go back to my normal life." And then he's like, "Oh, is this your cat?" And dun dun dun, it's Morgan Le Fay transformed into a cat.
That's when they get Wong and her get into the fight.
Yeah, and she
It's
kicks
pretty
Wong,
awesome.
but she kicks Wong's ass.
Yeah, Wong, he's not a sorcerer supreme. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
But they do the whole fucking light from the fingers shit.
You're not going to beat the apprentice of Merlin.
No.
Yes.
No. She kicks his ass and surrounds him in fire. Yeah. Passes out and he's like, "Brrr."
Yeah, and I kind of thought he was dead there, but
but no. You can't kill Wong.
No.
So yeah.
The indomitable Wong.
Yeah. So literally he they kind of get into that, and then she goes and attacks the main wizard,
Linmer.
Yeah, Linmer up in the very top, right in front of the big symbol and everything. He's like, "You shall not pass," type of a deal. But yet she kicks his ass too.
Yeah.
Sends him to the astral plane in a weird way.
Yeah.
And that's when Strange and Le Fay kind of meet again.
So she comes and visits him.
Yeah.
Because he's meeting up with Clea.
Yeah.
And they're going to go out, remember?
Where he goes over to her house.
Yeah, because they're going to go out. He went to go pick her up because they kind of set that up earlier.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of digressing through the part where she gets out of the hospital, but we're not going to linger long on the plot here.
No. Yeah, well, he goes into her apartment. He's like, "Oh, this is better than I got." And she's like, "Can I get you anything? Maybe a shower?" He's pulling that game out.
He's bringing it strong.
Yeah, he's like, I got
and he's
dice.
all wet because it was raining.
Yeah. I got my 12-sided dice right now. Let's play this game. And she's like, "Well, all I can offer you is a cold beer." And then she goes into the other room.
Yeah.
Right? So she's going, I guess, to primp her hair or something. And Morgan's in there.
Yes.
In the mirror. And then Strange is getting a beer out of the fucking 1930s refrigerator. And he's like, "Oh." So he goes in there, and that's when he ends up going back into the astral.
So Morgan tells him, "Look, I won't hurt her if you come with me."
Yeah.
Because she wants that Strange dick.
She does.
Yeah.
Even Dormammu or whoever the bad guy is like, "You got feelings for him."
Right.
She's like, I want to feel the warmth of a man.
I want to feel a man inside me.
Yeah. It's been a long time. She's been in there for a long time.
And for those of you that know the story of Morgan Le Fay, she slept with her half-brother to create the guy that would eventually defeat Arthur, who was her half-brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
There you go.
Hey, I'm going to have to read on more Arthurian legend.
Literature.
It's a Guy Ritchie production. King Arthur. But literally he's there. He gets kissed by homegirl Clea, right? before she goes into the room to kind of freshen up, right? And then when they're on the astral plane, I mean, fucking Morgan's like all over him like a lampshade,
yeah,
man.
she is. And she's like, I'll give you everything. I'll give you everything you ever wanted.
Yeah. He's like, you want jewels? And look down.
Family jewels.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is she kneels down and he looks straight ahead, and I was like, oh my God, he's getting a fucking BJ right now. Something.
On 1978 TV.
Right. I was like, whoa, this is kind of racy. I mean, he's getting some, But then, like, she puts a cape on him too, which is weird.
As you would.
Yeah, and he's got jewels and a cape. And then she, like, it looks like she takes off her clothes, but she doesn't.
Right.
She, like, takes off maybe her cape or something.
Or her outer or whatever. Yeah.
And then they start almost like bumping uglies. I mean, they're going at it, right? And then she goes, oh, wait a minute, follow me. And they go somewhere else, right? Which is like, well, damn, that's over with.
That was quick.
Yeah. Whoa.
Got them magic lips.
I guess. Some.
Gross.
Yeah. So, see, he even tries to use a spell on her too. Mm-hmm. She's like, come on, you
that
pussy.
same spell that got rid of that demon's not going to work on me. It's the only thing you got.
Yeah, you sissy la. You haven't learned anything. So, I mean, really, he sees, who is it? He sees the other dude kind of looking like a zombie hanging from a tree.
Yeah, because he's like real fucked up looking.
Yeah.
And through this, like, Strange must not have, because he tried to take his ring off, but he couldn't get it off. So he still does have it on, because that becomes a crux of the story of her saying, take it off.
Yeah.
And join me. And he's
but
like,
he can't do it.
He's like, I can't. And she's like, oh, you can. And he's like, well, I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Because basically it was like he put a spell on it to keep it on his finger.
Right.
Okay.
But she said, well, here, you can take it off. And he refuses. And that's
yeah.
it.
And that's and it's so weird that he like saves home dude, right? Mm-hmm. So they end up and he's back there.
Yeah, but she attacks him and he kicks her ass.
Yeah. What?
I mean, the old Sorcerer Supreme couldn't do that.
No, not at all. And the dude's been learning for years, hundreds of years, right?
She kicked his ass in his house.
I know. Yeah, that's where the biggest plot hole is like he has no learning curve. He learns one spell and that's it. And then he's done.
But then he can suddenly shoot shit out of his hands.
Yeah, no. He just looks at her and he's like, pew, what? So he saves him. And then the other woman is saved too. So everybody's kind of like on this good spot. This is where I kind of was, getting lost in the whole movie anyway. I was kind of falling asleep during this point. So I'll let you take over on the ending part of it. Cause it was weird. Like it got slow again. I thought it would pick up even more.
Well, so this is where, like, right after he kicks her ass and rescues Linmer, that's when, that demon Dormammu, whoever it might be, turns her into an old hag.
Yeah. She's looking in. Yeah, she's looking in the pond, and she's got gray hair and wrinkled face, which is she's like, no, don't take my beauty.
And then we're back at Linmer's place, back in the building, right?
Yeah,
and that's where he's like, you can either become basically the Sorcerer Supreme. Or you can remain mortal. Because they're like, he'd been alive for like hundreds of years, hundreds Linmer had. Yeah. And I thought at this point he was going to die, but that doesn't seem to be the case, really.
I guess not. He just transfers his power, doesn't he? So he transfers his power over to him. Wong's still there too, because Wong gets woke up. He's like, whoa, that was crazy.
Well, and he tells it, like, Wong tells him, he's like, you've got those powers now, but you don't have the knowledge.
There's no learning.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what sets up for a cool TV show is you have Linmer and Wong still there to help him.
Yeah.
And mold him.
Yeah.
You have, Steven learning as he goes, kind of like Greatest American Hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to be learning as he goes. And then if they really did, and I really don't know that they would have done this in the show, but man, if they would have made Clea a main part of this show and then made her the daughter of Dormammu, that would have been cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like they uncover that as they go.
This had a great foundation.
It really did.
For a movie. it's kind of like, I don't know. You can, the only thing that you can lend to him learning so fast is he was already a badass before he even put on the cape,
Well, yeah.
And it was inherent in
He
him.
was predestined to be, yeah.
Correct. It was an inherent kind of a talent that he already had, and he didn't even have to think about it. Okay, I get it. Right. Yeah. That's a sloppily written part of it. They're like, he's just really good. Like page, 56. They're like, but how does he get so? Oh no, he just gets. It says it right here. He's just really good already.
Yeah, you don't have like in the newer Doctor Strange movie where he just studied and studied and studied
really fast.
Yeah,
it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah,
so he could.
That's my question about Doctor Strange too. Does he sleep?
That's a good question. Maybe
Because he can go into the astral plane and his body sleeps,
right?
But yet he's in the astral plane awake studying too,
right? So that's why he learns so fast.
Yeah, because he has 24 hours in a day, unlike the rest of us that have 12.
The last piece of this movie, we see him and Clea, Strange and Clea, kind of hook back up.
Yeah.
And they're walking by that TV, and Morgan Le Fay's on the TV. So yeah, like she's like a self-help guru.
Nice.
And they're like, yeah, we're just helping young people, blah, 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 blah. But you can tell Clea has no memory of any of the stuff that happened other than dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Steven doesn't really address it. They just watch that little piece, and then they see the street magician. And he's going to pull like flowers out, like, watch as I do this. And Strange just kind of smiles and shoots him a little pew, and it turns it into a dove, and then he just walks away smiling, all self-gratified.
It could have been a lot better, but I can really see that this was a labor of love for a lot of people.
Absolutely. I think everybody, like you said earlier, everybody on this show was committed to making it something awesome.
Right.
Again, I think they had the basis for it, given that it was 1978. Special effects were...
Think of how it could have grown.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the $6 million man was still running in slow-mo at this point.
Yeah, but that was easy to do on TV.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was, you didn't have to do any more than that.
The medium of the day for comic books to break into the mainstream was television.
Right.
I mean, the Hulk opened the door for so many different things.
Well, and even before that, I would say like Batman, the old 60s Batman.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, Batman was the campy
Green
Hornet.
Day,
they had their style.
Those weren't quite superhero movies to the point of like a Doctor Strange where you're going to have more magic and powers.
Yeah, those were just total camp,
or even the Incredible Hulk for that matter, where he has that transformation.
Yeah, and he'd always be like,
"My eyes are green." Don't make me angry.
His eyes would be closed, and then he'd open them up, and Bill Bixby would be like pissed.
And you have those bright green eyes, and you're like, "Oh, you done fucked it up." Because that's not Bruce Banner, that's David Banner. Because Bruce is too gay of a name.
I know, it's weird.
Go TV.
Yeah, there's just. They were shooting for it because the Spider-Man show sucked. I'm sorry.
It was terrible, dude.
It was fucking horrible.
I loved it because when he would throw like his webs, it'd be like a rope.
Yeah. And it was always the same shot of him swinging between two buildings, and like when he
only get so much money to make that happen, I guess, when you're making a 70s television show.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's
you
like
do what you can.
He's climbing on the ceiling, but yet it takes like 30 minutes for him to get up there,
Right, exactly.
And then he's kind of like floating on the ceiling. He's not really grabbing it. At the time they're like,
because
yes!
he was waiting for Lionel Richie to come out with that dancing on the
Oh,
ceiling.
yeah, I know.
So,
Shit, that's all they had
Once
to do.
that came out, Spider-Man was on.
Well, they did that shit all the way back in Fred Astaire days. That's where Lionel Richie got it from.
Oh,
why didn't they do it? Well, they would have had to make a new one every time for every hallway that he was fighting in. It would be the same office complex hallway.
Yes.
that he's fighting samurais in for some fucking reason. But, I think I read too that they were really going to, this one was going to be one where they were going to tie in like Banner, and they were going to tie in Captain America. Reb Brown, I think, said something that in the Captain America TV show that they were planning, he was supposed to interact with Spider-Man at some point.
Okay.
That was supposed to bleed into the Doctor Strange as well. So they, even back then,
They were building a universe.
correct.
Okay.
They had, and having Banner and everything like that, they were going to have everybody kind of cameo on it. Now, the Red Brown Captain America's always have a special place in my heart because it was the first time you see Captain America. Besides the old 1940 something serials or whatnot, or 50 something, which were really weird. The dude was wearing a wool Captain America suit, hot as shit.
You would think.
Oh my God. But Red Brown really did he fit the profile. But the thing was, is you couldn't have him grow anymore. He was an all-American quarterback, football player.
Right.
And he had a motorcycle,
Right.
That he could like throw on the roof.
And the
shit.
acting chops of an all-American quarterback.
Exactly. Yeah. He only did, I think Red Brown only did like 2 movies after that, like Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman.
Hackman?
And a couple of other ones. But they were really cool. And to read that he said it in like some Comic-Con interview that they were really thinking about moving those together, and they had it planned that Captain America would have been that first guy to go into like Spider-Man, and then be part of that Spider-Man world. Because Christopher Lee was in the second pilot. It was Captain America 2, Death Too Soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Lee was in it.
Wow.
And he was a badass. Yeah, it was Christopher Lee.
As Christopher Lee is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, they were really stretching and trying to get in those bigger characters.
Think about that, what the evolution would have been had they built basically an MCU universe, right? Through the television show. How would have that
Influenced.
influenced or even stymied what we've got later. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, we've already done that.
Right.
It worked out to this degree. Maybe we go a different direction. We may not have seen the same MCU that we have now.
No. There would have been we would have had like old Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It would have been like Laurence Olivier playing him or some shit, something weird. Yeah.
You remember that Blade movie with Sidney Poitier? Yeah. Sidney Poitier.
Well, it would have been cool to see them go a little bit further, but yeah, they ended their run in the early 80s.
Right.
And then they did those made-for-TV Hulk movies because they couldn't let that one die.
Well, that was a big moneymaker.
The Hulk was still the most popular one, but to have all of those, like the Hulk being fucking Spider-Man or, not Bigfoot, you know what I mean?
Well,
But
and even in just the Hulk, like we've talked about in the past, just in those Hulk movies, like we had Daredevil, we had Thor.
Kingpin. Yeah.
Fuck that.
He's hey, troll.
Worst Thor ever.
Yeah. He was like a bodybuilder on Venice Beach. They carried around a barbell.
Yeah.
This one.
He was no Vincent D'Onofrio from Adventures in Babysitting.
No, not at all. He was the real Thor. This one, yeah, it had the low grade filming of a porno movie, but then also had no color. It was a foundation for something that if it was released probably 2 weeks later, might have been something.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that really got me, and there's a point where Stephen Strange goes and sits down, and kind of a crux of the story. And I always know I can make it through the whole movie if I can make it past this point. But it's like the worst daytime soap opera music ever. Just like starts belting out, and you're like, what the fuck
At
is
the
going?
very beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
But they do have the synthesizer soundtrack towards
do.
the end.
They do.
And that's pretty bitchin'.
Yeah.
And I gotta say that's what I noticed the most kind of towards the end. It was like, bum, 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 bum. It was just really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I think even at that time, doing a synthesizer soundtrack for a TV show was unusual.
Well, absolutely.
So they
In
were
78?
Yeah, they were doing a lot of different things.
Sure.
I mean, Stevie Wonder with the synthesizer, The Who, anybody back then that were doing that stuff. It wasn't really in the popular culture.
It wasn't mainstream.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then you got Devo that really turned everything around.
Sure.
And Kraftwerk and stuff like that. Yeah. Which I thought it was really cool. Kind of towards the end, they really did add more of that. Which, yeah, pretty cool. It would have been cool to see that as a more of a staple in television at that point too.
I assume that the people that were watching this, because there were Marvel fans, obviously hardcore. Obviously, we weren't,
Yeah, I wasn't even born yet.
70s.
Yeah.
But there were, I assume that a lot of the younger Marvel kids were watching this on acid at home.
Yeah.
Because I imagine that those were really cool parts, especially back then when they're going into the other realms.
Yeah.
You know, and that was kind of cool, especially for the time, given what they had, I think.
Right. Yeah, no, there's a lot of good things about it, but there was also a lot of misses on it.
Yeah. The building block demon thing was kind of weird. I think I would have done that maybe a little differently.
Yeah, the Lego Dormammu.
Yeah. Exactly.
Even the horse demon was kind of fucked up.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he was like a ring wraith,
Yeah.
you know, from a Ralph Bashki film.
Well, that would have been right there, though. That would
Right
have been,
there, yeah. Because I've always said that Willow, you know, because I mean, they didn't really do like Lord of the Rings, you know, for a long time, and they did the
Right.
animated because they could do it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Rotoscope and everything was really cool. But I think Willow, if they were to have made Lord of the Rings back then, looked just like Willow.
Oh, absolutely.
It was Lord of the Rings for the 80s, you know. That's the best way to describe Willow.
Best
And
Val Kilmer role ever.
fucking A, it is. I mean,
Tied with The Doors. I really liked his Jim Morrison.
Mad Mardigan could have kicked everybody's
Oh,
ass. If I had to put if I had to put together like a team to fight like an evil demon and I could go anywhere and pick from anything,
It
I would get
be
Mad
Stephen
Mardigan
Strange from 1978.
and Mad Mardigan.
No, it wouldn't have. Mad Mardigan, maybe, not this guy.
Yeah, I would get Mad Mardigan. I'd be like, please, I need a Mad Mardigan. They're like, who's that? I'm like, this dude. And then bring out Val Kilmer from 1988's.
But we digress.
We digress. Overall, if you're a fan of the Marvel movies or a fan of anything, this is another one of those that you have to see just to see the evolution of them.
It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. Just, I think anything that's like in that zeitgeist, you know, I want to see, especially if it's older, somebody else's take on it.
Yeah.
The fact that obviously, like you'd mentioned earlier, Stanley was like, this is the most involved I was in a movie. And you can tell, like we were talking about with some of just the characters and the way that it went, you know, all that went. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend watching it one good time. You don't have to watch it more than that. You're not going to be that happy about it.
There's at least 20 people out there that are like, that Doctor Strange movie is my favorite movie ever, you know, and it's like, really?
I don't really want to meet those people.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're boring.
But it was worth a watch, especially since, like I said, we have the big wait for any Marvel movies coming out. Here, go check something out. It's free.
And
that's the cool part.
Yeah, and they're still doing the things that they were trying to pioneer back then.
Absolutely.
Movies and TV, building the worlds, and they've already built the cinematic universe. Now they're building the television cinematic
The integrated television cinematic universe. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think I even read somewhere that Benedict Cumberbatch did watch the old one and talk to the main dude on this one. Was like, yeah, you did a good job.
To Hooten?
It was either him or the director. It was like, hey, it was a good job. It was different. So he didn't really pull a lot from that. I mean, even the Doctor Strange symbol is not the same. They didn't have the Eye of Agamotto, which I think they kind of did, but not really.
Well, and I think that that's something you could have built off of if this was going to be a TV show. So remember that this was a pilot.
Yeah.
So you're not wanting to give everything away right up front.
Correct.
You know? You got to build on that lore over time.
And
everything's got to be new and fresh every episode.
Right. Because how many seasons was the Hulk? The Hulk was a long run. They had a really good run.
I don't really remember, but it seemed like it was on for a while.
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6. Yeah. But they had a lot more episodes than they do now.
Yeah.
So it was like 25 instead of 13. If they would have built it up, I think it would have been decent. It
would have been decent for the time.
Yeah.
I think that's really the thing is that, it's not going to be what, Benedict Cumberbatch's, that specific movie was really good. I think he fit the role really well. I know that director's not going to be on the second movie, but he did a great job in the first one. And the fact that Sam Raimi's taken over for this next one should bode pretty well since they're going to go a little darker with it.
If they tame out some of Sam Raimi's normal stuff,
the Raimi tropes,
his tropes, yes. If they do that, but add them in the right points,
exactly.
It's going to be bitching.
It's not that you're taking them away; it's that you're integrating them in the right way.
Correct, and still give it the same feel of the first one. I think it's good because I love that Doctor Strange movie. I really do. What other movie franchises had, well, besides Iron Man, because Jeff Bridges was there, but like Mads Mikkelsen is the bad guy, in that fucking movie, and he's tremendous. I mean, the dude, anything you put him in is badass. But so is Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, he's a perfect Doctor Strange. Really fits the role. Maybe he'll have a mustache in this one. We don't know. Eventually. Curly hair and a mustache. Maybe
he'll be that long-haired 90s Doctor Strange we had for a little bit. Remember
the
that?
ponytail?
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, if you get a chance, the 1978 version of Doctor Strange, they don't even spell it out, Doctor.
No, it's just, and that's one thing. If you're going to look for this on your own, like I said, I will put the link in the description, but if you're going to look for this on your own, make sure when you go to Dailymotion that you do just put in the DR dot, or you're not going to find this video. I mean, it's kind of deep.
Yeah.
So just use the link. It'll make your life a lot easier.
It's pretty cool though. So we'll wrap up this episode.
Absolutely. I'm going to give this about 2 out of 5 demon summonings.
Yeah. I would say it's 1.5. No, I'll say 2.5 Eye of Agamotto's.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's kind of middle of the road. There's
redeeming qualities, but there's things that you're like,
like not being able to see anything. You struggle to see it, so watch it in a well-lit room, but then also put on your readers.
Yeah, and you can download that Dailymotion, again, not a sponsor, but just to make it easier for you, you can download it to an Xbox One. You can there's apps for Apple TV. I'm sure Roku as well.
Oh yeah.
Check it out that way. That way you can get that big TV experience.
You can actually, like you're watching it in the 70s.
On a flat screen TV.
I wish I had a tube TV just to watch these old movies like that.
So good.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
it would make it work. Or
I'm gonna have to find one of those old school console TVs
that actually works.
Yes. Put it right next to the electrophonic.
They're very few and far between, because every household in the 80s had a console TV and another TV on top of it, because it was like furniture. The old TV that didn't work anymore pretty soon became your TV stand.
Yes.
Everybody had that shit. But reach out to us on if you know of any other comic book movies. Which, stay tuned for our next episode, because we are going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to travel 20 years in the future from 1978 to another TV pilot.
Uh-oh.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah. So hit us up, dropculture.com, and hit us up anywhere.
Yeah, hit us up on the socials. You can check us all out at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just look for Drop Culture.
And then
Drop Culture Podcast.
Yeah, Redbubble. We got merchandise. Check out our friends at the Not For Everyone podcast. Anybody out there that listens to us, thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you watch this Doctor Strange movie, please comment on our somewhere with us and let us know what your thoughts on this movie were, because I'm interested to get some conversation. We've had a great conversation about it, not only here, but outside of the podcast,
because it's a weird movie, so enjoy it.
Absolutely.
All right, stay tuned for part 2 of The Lost.
Stay strange.
Stay strange out there. Where do I sign?